Good afternoon. It's great to be with you again. It's just about the weekend. Hope that you're getting well prepared for that. And we have lots to talk about today. Really looking forward to sharing some of this interesting information that we're looking at today. I think you're going to find it very helpful. Let's start just by saying, hey, listen, you can follow us on Facebook whenever you want to. All you got to do is follow us at Macbeth Group on Facebook, and there we are. We're also available on Instagram and Twitter. You can find us on Twitter at Cash Coach Canada and Instagram also at Macbeth Group. Want to say thanks today to our sponsor, the Simple Plan Life Insurance. You can get your free life insurance quotes, no obligation. Just go and check it out. Find out the pricing for your life insurance from all major Canadian insurers at getthesimpleplan.com/quotes. You can also find out how much life insurance you should have by going to getthesimpleplan.com/how much. Thanks very much to them. By the way, in case you didn't know it, this is actually probably the best time ever to review or get life insurance. Life insurance rates are lower than they've ever been, primarily because they've been coming down for years. We did a show on that. But also because interest rates are low. Now, that hasn't caused them to be low. It's going to cause them to go up. And so right now, life insurance rates are lower than they've ever been on term life insurance. But they're likely to go up probably in the next 6 months sometime. Insurance companies are usually fairly slow to move on that, but they're going to have to move because interest rates are so low. So go check out how much life insurance you should have and what you might pay. You may well be paying too much for life insurance. So check that out. Today's helpful download is our fact planning pyramid, which we're going to look at today, and our bonus financial fitness checklist. You can get those at bit.ly/2020 your best year yet. So that's bit.ly/2020 your best year yet, and that is all lowercase. So we are very excited and happy to be with you today. Just wanted to share a couple of things off the top that, kind of incidental stuff. One of the things is, I don't know if you've noticed, and maybe you haven't even twigged to it, but in this ridiculous world of COVID that we're living in, which seems to cause us to go slow and line up in many, many places we didn't used to, some places are jumping on the bandwagon of getting lines that you can join from your cell phone. So, for example, today I had to stop at the bank on the way in, and helpfully, TD Canada Trust, which is one of the places we bank, TD Canada Trust has closed half of its branches in our city, and the other half that remain open are only open literally half as many hours as they used to be. They have gone back to the official banker's hours. They're open 10 till 4, Monday to Friday. It's quite remarkable. And somehow they're getting away with this, but there it is. Anyway, of course, it's caused lineups, and that was very aggravating. But now they have an app. Well, it's actually through their website. You can just join the line online. So I live about a 10-minute drive away. So before I leave, I joined the line. Today when I left, as I left my apartment, I was number 9 in a line. And by the time I got to the bank, I was at the front of the line. And then I went to go get a medical test, and the lab is doing the same thing. You have to download their little gizmo to do it. But, it's worthwhile checking to see if the places you're dealing with have that, because otherwise life can be pretty annoying at times right now with all these lines. And no relief in sight on that from what I can see. Another interesting thing today that I wanted to share with you, this is just where, you probably can't see that very well. No. Oh, well, such as it is. So this is, we'll put that, you're not going to see it. So this was just the closing quote today from the S&P 500 stock index. We've talked about stock indexes before. If you paid attention to that, you know that is the U.S. stock market index, the broad U.S. stock market index. It closed today at 3185. Now, that's down. That is down from the peak, the all-time peak that we hit in mid-February before all the madness really descended upon us. But you know what? It's down to, what did my calculator say? I think it's down. It's down to, it's only off about 6%. And I get asked about that all the time. You know, people asking, should I be pulling my money out of the stock market because who knows what's going to happen, et cetera, et cetera. And we did talk about that. Go to check out some of our other shows for that. But that just to me defies logic, that we're only down 6%. Unemployment in Canada is at 13% now. The U.S. is comparable. Of course, the U.S. is going through a lot of upheaval right now, social unrest on a crazy level, but also they're dealing with huge unemployment as well, and economic shrinkage of the GDP such as has never happened in history before. So go figure. Why is it only off 6%? I don't know. But anyway, I thought very interesting to take a look at that and see that we are only off that modest amount. So your mileage may vary. Make your plans accordingly. But I just wanted to comment on that. We're not unaware. We are looking at it going, I don't know. Seems to me like it should be lower. But you know what? The market's the market. So when I say that I think it should be lower, I just think it should be lower. It doesn't mean that I'm doing anything about it, because timing or predicting the market is completely a fool's game. So let's get on with what we wanted to talk about today. And what I wanted to talk to you about is kind of the broad picture of what you should be thinking about when you're making a financial plan, and how that progresses and evolves throughout your life. And so we gave you the information on how to get the download. I'll give you that again at bit.ly/2020 your best year yet, all lowercase. You're going to find the fact planning pyramid, as well as our bonus financial fitness checklist for 2020. So I wanted to share with you the fact planning pyramid today. This is our own creation. Of course, we didn't invent any of these things. It's just a reasonably logical progression of how you might go about putting your financial plans in place. And when we say FACT, that's actually an acronym for the 4 stages, which is foundation. Let's pull that up here. Come on. Foundation, accumulation. Let's go. Sorry, our computer's not cooperating much here. All right, foundation. You see it down here at the bottom. Foundation, accumulation, conversion, and transition. So foundation, that's the basic essential stuff that every family needs to build their financial prosperity on. And we'll go through all the components of each of these. Accumulation is the stage where you're out there working, you got your working life, you're building things, you maybe acquire a house, you're building investment funds, you're reaching goals, all sorts of stuff. Conversion is that stage when you go from living off the money that you're earning as income from working, either as an employee or maybe you have your own business or what have you. And you're converting your life to live off your assets. That is the stage that most of us refer to as retirement. But that's actually what's going on at retirement, is you stop living off the money you're making from working, and you live off the assets that you've accumulated. And so there's a conversion that goes on when we go into that stage. And then finally, there's that last final phase that we call transition, which is a lovely way of saying you're going to die. No one here gets out alive, in case you didn't know that. And so we plan for that. We plan for leaving behind for those that you love and for others and organizations that you care for, and especially, hopefully, not CRA, Canada Revenue Agency. So I just wanted to kind of go through this step by step. You can download this. This is the template, the base template we use for everybody when we build financial plans for them. We look at all these phases of their lives. And the thing is, it's really important. You can't see it built into this diagram, but it's really important that when you build your layers at the foundation and accumulation stage, that you're doing it with the conversion and transition in mind. Now, let me just give you one simple example of why that is. Let's say that you decide to accumulate your investment funds for the future inside an RRSP. And that can often be a good thing. That really depends on your individual circumstances, but that can often be a good thing. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's not a good program. But what happens is, if you have all your money inside your RRSP, and let's say two things can happen to it financially. One is you're going to withdraw it, and you're forced to withdraw it at a prescribed rate by the Government of Canada starting at your age 71. The reason for that is the government wants its pound of flesh. You've delayed paying taxes on that money, but they're going to get the money, the tax money. So they force you to start withdrawing it. But the other thing that can happen is if you have all your money inside an RRSP. Now, if you're married and you pass away and your spouse is still living, well, your RRSP will just go over to your spouse, and there is no what we call tax event. Nothing happens there from a taxation point of view. However, when the second spouse passes away, what happens is all the money that's inside that RRSP is deemed to have been deregistered on the day of death. And it all comes out, and it's one big, huge lump sum that's taxable as income, which is the highest rate of tax we all pay, is income tax. So, let's say that you only made it to age 72 and you had accumulated $1 million inside your RRSP, and you had no surviving spouse. Well, on the day you died, that is deregistered, and you're going to pay income tax on that money. So if you got $1 million being declared as income in a single year, most of that is going to get taxed at the highest marginal tax rate, which is going to vary somewhere in the 50% neighborhood, depending what province you live in. So that means that $500,000 of that million would go to CRA. That's just how it goes. So it doesn't have to be that way, but once we've put all our money inside an RRSP, we've kind of baked in that problem. But we can make all sorts of different types of plans to avoid that particular problem in that phase that we call transition. All right, so that's simply to give you an illustration of why it's really important at the foundation and accumulation stages to be making good plans based on what we're anticipating is going to happen or how we expect we're going to live through conversion and transition. So at the foundation stage, let me just pull out my trusty pen here. Oh, no, that's not what we want. This is what we want. No, we're not trying to sign things. Okay. So at the nope, also not what we want. All right. At the transition stage, at the foundation stage, we have, let's just scroll up here. We have these 5 essential things that we want to be doing. This is really pre-saving for anything. And so we want to get these things in order. We want to get our cash management. That's number one. We got to get our cash management in order. We got to get control of our money. We want to work on eliminating our debt. We want lifestyle and income security, which is usually in the form of different types of life insurance, especially life insurance, but also potentially disability, maybe critical illness insurance. We want to have a will in place, and we want to have an emergency fund because things happen. We don't know, we can't predict what's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but we can be prepared. And so that is really laying the foundation for our financial security. All right, now the next stage is accumulation. And this is the stuff that most of us think about when we're thinking about financial planning. The meaty stuff. We're planning for retirement. We want to own a home. We're going to save up for that. We have other goals, whether it might be we want to own something. Maybe you want, a cabin in the woods. Maybe you want to get a boat, or you're going on vacations, or what have you. We want to provide perhaps for our children's education. And one other thing that we all love to do is minimize the amount of taxation that we're paying. And so this is the real meaty part of the accumulation phase of development. Once we get past that, as I say, when we go to that conversion, so we've met those big goals in life, we've helped our kids through school, we own our homes, we've got our nest egg accumulated, our assets. Now we're going to live off those assets, so we go into the conversion phase. And at the conversion phase, we have a few things that are of prime importance. Number one is guaranteed lifestyle. That is, we want to have accumulated enough in the accumulation phase so that when we convert to living off our assets, we're going to have a guaranteed lifestyle. We're not going to be worrying about, is the market going up or down? Not that that won't have any effect, but we don't want to be in a position where economic ups and downs that we can't control could have a severe impact on our way of life. So that's what we mean by guaranteed lifestyle. We want to have our lifestyle set up so that we're going to have certainty that we can live at the level that we've been planning for. We also want to have tax optimization so that we're paying as little tax as possible. And that means we've planned for where we've accumulated our money so that as we're drawing it down to live on, it's not that we're not paying any tax. We're going to pay some tax. There's nothing wrong with paying tax. And of course, I'm only talking about a few types of tax. We all pay many, many types of taxes, including sales taxes and gasoline tax and luxury taxes and liquor taxes and all sorts of stuff. But I'm talking about those taxes that happen on income and on investments. We want to be optimizing that so we're getting the best minimization of the tax that we're paying through this stage of life. And that means we've got it inside, maybe we've got some inside an RSP and we're taking that out at a certain rate so that it's not going to all come out in a big lump sum at some point. We've got maybe tax-free savings accounts, and there's lots of other vehicles that different types of people in different lifestyles will use to achieve those goals. And we're also going to be doing estate planning. Now, don't get me wrong, we've been doing that all along. You'll remember that having a will is down at the foundation level. And my wife and I just went through that process, and I think I mentioned before, we're going to do a show about this soon on what that entails, because it's a big process. Putting together a will isn't just having a will. It's also asking a whole bunch of questions about who's going to help manage things for you if you're not capable of managing things, both financial and health. It's about making sure that things are going to get distributed the way you want them to when you pass away and all that stuff. But in the conversion stage of life, we're probably taking an even closer look at this. And then finally, the transition stage of life of our fact planning pyramid, we start thinking about what are we leaving behind? What are we doing? What's the substance of our lives when we're gone? So what we call legacy. And that can be family legacy. We're leaving money or property or businesses or what have you behind for family. Also can mean gifting. A lot of people want to give to causes or charities or their church when they pass away. And so we want to have things set up well for that so that ideally when we pass away, our estate is easy to deal with for those that have to deal with, and that it's also providing for others that we care about, whether, as I say, it's family or it's organizations or causes that we care about deeply. So this is what we want to have in our minds. And I bring this forward because so many people get lost kind of at the tree level, the very detail level of questions like, well, where's the best place I can possibly put my money inside a TFSA for my emergency fund and get the best rate of return? And we did a show about that. So, of course, that's an important and valuable question. But that's just a very tiny question. That's a trees question. But we want to be asking forest questions. We want to be having the big picture and the long-term vision in mind. And one of the things that I see people doing far too often is, and it's just a result of conditioning and marketing, not understanding all the questions they should be considering as they begin at their foundation and accumulation stages, so that they're not getting either the right types or the right amounts of life insurance in place to secure their way of life for their family, or they don't have their funds, their cash being managed well, and so they're not able to get rid of their debt, and so debt is constantly chewing away at them as they go along. Or when they're in the accumulation stage, they think retirement planning or long-term investing, and it's just like, oh, I'm going to put all my money in an RRSP. And it's like, well, that might be the right choice, very much depending on your circumstances. But until you really look at it in the context of the conversion and transition phases of life and what your long-term plans are, you can't really answer that question well. One kind of, I guess, foundational aspect of answering that question of should I put my money in an RRSP is, well, do I think that I'm going to be living on more taxable income when I'm in retirement or less taxable income when I'm in retirement? Because that's really the key question, the answer to which determines whether it makes sense to be inside an RRSP or not. But unfortunately, a lot of people just go, well, when you're saving for retirement, you put it in an RRSP. Retirement's right in the name of that product. Of course you put it in there. Just the same way that when people think of a tax-free savings account, there's a lot of people who don't understand that a tax-free savings account isn't just a savings account. It's an investment account. You might put cash inside a savings account in there, but probably not the best choice. Depending on your situation. For most people, not the best choice. But people don't even know that you can put all sorts of investments inside their tax-free savings account. So you want to have this whole big picture, long-term plan going on in your mind as you put together all your plans for your full picture for your financial life. You want to have not just a vision of what am I doing today, but you want to have the long-term vision of what's happening tomorrow and after that and what's happening when I pass away. So this, to me, I really like to keep this in front of me so that, because a lot of the pieces feed different decisions we make elsewhere, right? So we go, well, why did I put my money inside this RSP or this tax-free savings account? Or why are my income-producing investments inside my RRSP, but my capital gains-based investments are not inside a registered account because I didn't have enough room? Why do we make those decisions? Well, that's all because of the conversion and transition phases. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I encourage you to download. This is available as a free download, this Fact Planning Pyramid. You can go and download it for yourself. You also get a copy of our financial fitness checklist for 2020, which I think there's about 14 items on there that you can run through and ask yourself, am I on track financially? What areas do I need to be working on? You can get all of that today at bit.ly/2020, your best year yet. One other thing that I just want to tease you a bit with is we're looking at, there seems to be some opportunity. There's certainly an opportunity for people to get 14 days worth of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace in Canada. We know that's been a problem for Canadians. We know a lot of people have been anxious to get at it. We ran a class last year. It was a test system for the whole Ramsey organization last year in Canada. They pulled the plug on it partway through. We all went through that. But it's looking like there's a possibility that Financial Peace might actually be available again to Canadians. We are just working on that and following up on it. And we're going to have an announcement about that in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. It's an interesting little tidbit, and we don't know. It's not like they've made any announcement about it. But there are some signs in that direction that are pretty interesting. So stay tuned, and we're going to let you know about that. Either way, we're looking at running a little Facebook group soon that's going to give an opportunity for those that, even if all they're doing is jumping on the 14-day free trial, and believe me, running through financial peace in 14 days is a very tall order, especially if you're starting at baby steps 1 or 2 or 3. But because there's just a mass of content there. But nonetheless, we're going to run a Facebook group to support people who want to, and encourage people who are going to take that, even on the 14-day trial, and have a look at what that can do for them. And we're going to provide some Canadian context for some of that content, because Financial Peace is all U.S. content. And it's certainly all applicable to Canada, but you need a bit of translation on that for some things. So anyway, stay tuned for that. We'll have an announcement sometime within the next couple weeks on that. Want to thank you very much for spending time with us today. Of course, you can always find us on Facebook at Macbeth Group. You can also find us on Twitter at Cash Coach Canada, and also on Instagram, also at Macbeth Group. Thanks again to our sponsor today, the Simple Plan. It's never been a better time, and it's not going to get better. It's probably going to get more expensive and a little tougher. It's never been easier and less expensive to get term insurance than it is today. You can get your own personalized quotes. Just do it yourself at getthesimpleplan.com/quotes. You get quotes there from all major Canadian insurers, so you can see what you might be paying for insurance. Maybe you might find out you could save yourself some money. Also, if you aren't certain if you've got the right amount of coverage, you can go to getthesimpleplan.com/how-much, and there's a calculator right there that's going to show you how to calculate how much life insurance you should be carrying. So, once again, you can download the Fact Planning Pyramid and the bonus financial fitness checklist at bit.ly/2020 Your Best Year Yet. That's bit.ly/2020 Your Best Year Yet, and that's all lowercase. I'm Brad Macbeth. Thanks very much for spending time with us today. I hope that's been really helpful for you. Give us your questions. We're always happy to answer them. You can do it from our Facebook page or other places that you can find us in various Facebook groups. We really appreciate you. Have a great day.